good luck on your race.
Thank you very much. I'm synthpopisback, and I'm racing against my good friend reBarbaloot.
Hey.
So why don't you tell them a little bit about this game first, I guess. We've got some donation incentives for the names and all that kind of good stuff. Or I can, either way. reBarbaloot's going to be playing as Bear, which I believe won, and I'll be playing as RPGC. And yeah, I guess let's get started, or get to the class selection screen. Timing on this game doesn't begin until you choose your class at the beginning. Gives us a nice, like, easy spot to get to for, like, races and all that kind of stuff. Lets you, I don't know, just kind of standardizes some of the timing issues.
Okay, so as you may have seen in the intro screens, this game is set in Arabia. We're a young magician who previously fought Sabaran and had his memory erased. And now we have to fight him again. The game is divided into 5 chapters, and each chapter has a demon fight at the end. We'll be explaining more, of course, as we go throughout the race.
Yep. All right, so I'm set on magician here.
Me too.
Okay, I'll let you count it down.
All right, 3, 2.
Oh, we're sorry. High spirits, are you ready? All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
All right. So we both, I believe, chose magician as the first class. There are 3 classes. They each, well, fighter is like a sword specialist. Magician is a rod specialist, and the saint is terrible. The original like route that I used to run, that reBarbaloot used to run way back in the day, had us start with the fighter so that we could get a discount at this first shop, or the shop in this first town. We're actually going to skip the shop here. But the route now, you just stick with magician as much as possible. And so yeah, this has a lot of like Zelda-like elements, but then it also has very strange like JRPG style random encounters. Hopefully we won't be seeing too many of those. So we're going to run from everything that we can. We actually learned a fair amount from reBarbaloot creating tasks over the last several months of this game in terms of like how the game determines whether or not you get into an encounter and all that kind of stuff. Seems that the 4th possible encounter is really hard to avoid, even for a task. But
And the way the encounters work is they occur at screen transitions, and more specifically, certain screens are flagged as encounter screens. We haven't gotten to any encounter screens yet. The first one will be coming up fairly soon. And so we're hoping, of course, we don't get that encounter.
it's usually not a huge issue to run from the encounters, but you can get stuck in them, and some of them take a really long time. So it's better to just ignore that entirely.
Okay, so it was the first encounter screen, and I got the encounter.
I got it too.
Yeah. So fortunately, you get 3 tries to escape before you actually take any damage, and most of the time, one of those will be successful.
Yeah, I got out of there on the 2nd, I think.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so we're going now to the time door. In a normal casual playthrough, we would have been going around talking to townspeople and finding out what's going on. In one of the townspeople would have told us about a door leading to the past. So that's where we've gone here.
So we go back into the past here. And there's a lot of stuff about like a casual playthrough of this game that, while I have done, I don't recall. So I'll leave it to reBarbaloot to elaborate on those kinds of things. But we go into the past here, and the first stop is to a town that we passed by, because we need to get an upgrade to the rod that we've got.
clarify, a town we passed by while we were in the present.
While we were in the present, yes.
Okay, so going into this town accomplishes two things. For one thing, we want to use a carpet to come back here later, and coming here gives us that option. Also, we're going to go to the university here and take the Moncum course. So you can read about solar eclipses and etc. here. The point is, we get the rod upgrade.
Yeah, the flame gives like double damage, but there's no other noticeable change. The shot is still slow. You can only have one of them on the screen at a time. That will change eventually. We'll get upgraded rods. It's not going to be until Chapter 3 that we actually get to see the benefits of it. But anyway, now we need a little bit of experience and hopefully a money bag, because we're going to need a lot of money in this run. So we're going to take a detour here on the way to the next companion into a little maze where we've got some enemies that have just really good XP to drop. And I get stuck in a 3 Samrima fight.
I'm stuck in a 3 Meldo fight.
Oh wow, okay.
So we're both apparently seeing what happens when you don't successfully escape on the first 3 tries. It's frame-based whether you escape or not, and you've got basically a 50% chance. So with bad luck, you can get stuck in a fight. Fortunately, I was only stuck in that fight for 1 turn and took minimal damage. Later on, getting stuck in some fights can just be ruinous.
Yeah, I've had runs that died on the very last possible encounter screen because I got into the encounter and the thing was able to kill me. All right, so these are the enemies that we need here. I don't know if you're in the maze now, but these like dinosaur-looking things, they drop 5 experience each. We need to get up to about 180 before we leave here. And
we're going to want to have 240 experience to hit level 4 before the end of the chapter. And
yep.
So, yeah, getting 180 here puts us in reasonably good shape for that.
Yeah, we can just like kind of kill enemies as they're convenient later on, and it'll be fine. Another nice little thing in this maze here is, in this room above me, is the old man who gives us the magic Moncom. So you can only cast them during the solar eclipses, which happen after a set period of time in each chapter. We're not going to actually see an eclipse until Chapter 4. So that's when we'll cast Moncom, and it will refresh all of our items and money and all that kind of stuff. So all we really need is to survive until Chapter 4. And speaking of those encounter screens that he mentioned, the screen that I'm on right now, this transition that I'm taking doesn't have an encounter on it. So this is a good spot to like grind out experience on these Kibras. We're also hoping that one of them will drop a money bag at some point.
Okay, well I just let my HP get away from me and took a death. So
oh, no.
Finding out now, this game has lives.
Yeah.
You die 3 times, you get a game over, and basically have to start from the beginning of that chapter.
Yeah, whatever chapter you were on. For the first time, I think, in my entire career with this game, I just got out of that maze without getting hit.
Oh, nice.
And I only took like 4 HP from 4 damage from that fight I got stuck in. So anyway, here's the actual shopping. And what we want to do here is get a debt of exactly 350 rupees. And then we take another 150 loan. And it's very weird, like it's an odd way to say that. But you can get 500 rupees from this guy if you do exactly that. You get 350 and then ask for 150. If you have any other combination of either of those 2 things, the cap is 400. And yeah, anyway. So I'm going to buy 6 breads and 6 mashrooms at full price because I'm a magician. Magician can't get the discount. reBarbaloot, oh, also 2 carpets. reBarbaloot has a different set that you buy, right? It's 4
breads and 7 mushrooms.
4 breads, 7 mushrooms, and 2 carpets.
Right.
And then we walk over here and pick up our first companion.
Well, first one aside from Coronia, who we started with.
Yeah, that's true. And this is why we wanted the carpets and to enter Rudoria earlier, so we can go ahead and just carpet right back there and then walk straight to the door, the time door.
Right, so getting Farouk was the reason we needed to come to the past. So now that we have him, we're just returning to the present, and we can make further progress there.
We have to get one more companion and then go into the dungeon for this chapter. Okay. And after we go through this time door, there's a nice little gauntlet of, I think it's 3 encounter screens?
Yeah, on the way to the North Cape.
On the way to the North Cape. One other thing to note in this chapter, most of the chapters you're okay on like HP and MP. Obviously you gain HP and MP as you level up and stuff. But this chapter, you actually only have 6 spare MP, because you want to get through this chapter without using a Mashrub, which restores your MP if you run out. And you also want to get through it, ideally losing no breads, but losing at max 1 for me. And I accidentally chose to fight an Amory's fight, but got away anyway. Two out of the 3 possible encounters. That nice little gauntlet. And there's a money bag in a tree that I can't get. It's frustrating.
As far as money is concerned, we're going to need 304 rupees in Chapter 3.
340.
Oh yeah, 340. And so we'll be collecting money bags as we see them. They give 20 coins each. And so it's unfortunate to miss a money bag drop. The way the drops work is they're on a specific sequence, but it's random whether or not an enemy you kill actually drops an item and progresses the sequence or not. So if you miss a money bag drop, then you probably won't see another drop for a while. Another money bag drop.
Yeah, it seems to be something like 20 enemies between money bag drops or something like that. At least from what I can tell from the grind in Chapter 4. Okay, so we go into this shop here, we buy some horns, and then come over to the second companion, Kibaboo, who asks us if we have ever asked out a girl at a hamburger shop, and you have to say no. If you say yes there, you get kicked out and you have to go through it again. The horns will be useful in the palace, but...
Okay, I'm entering the palace now. Currently I have 206 experience, and I'm going to need to be sure to hit 240 by the time I get to the palace. Each enemy here is 2 experience, so I should be able to hit 240 without too much trouble.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit worse of a situation there because I've got... I entered with 193.
Hey, let's get stuck in a second fight.
I got in a fight, but at least I didn't get stuck in it.
I got out after 1 cycle.
Yeah, I'll take that HP drink. MP drink would be nice, also. So 219, I should be fine. These guys usually show up, and I can kill an extra one there, and then make this jump.
Okay.
Kill a couple of dudes. It looks like I'm gonna have to grind a bit. 1 extra screen of bandits. It's dangerous to do that here because this is obviously an encounter screen. Ugh. There we go. Okay. Now I have God, terrible menuing.
Okay, so I'm entering the first demon fight right here. This is the water demon Gilga. For the first part of the fight, I'm just going to be taking out 1 side of the eyes each cycle.
Yeah. You can see when you hit those statues with the horn, they can occasionally wake up and be angry about it. Just what just happened.
Yeah, so the horn is supposed to make the statues let you through, but apparently synthpopisback had a situation where they still didn't. That happens about 1 in 8 tries. Not really sure what causes it.
Ah, man, that was a shaky second cycle on the Gilga eyes.
Okay, Gilga fight's done. I did lose a bread there, but oh well. So now that the demon fight's over, and this happens at the end of each chapter, if we had not hit level, for this chapter, level 5, we automatically hit it from that demon fight.
Okay. Sorry, I just somehow got the stone magic.
It doesn't take too long in the second stage of the Gilga fight. You can get hit with the stone magic, which does 30 damage if you don't have Deafening up. Deafening being a spell that halves damage.
I did have Deafening up. I was hoping to get through that fight without using a bread, but took a hit on the last eye. And then apparently, like you have to kind of, you can't just mash against those eyes. You have to like wait half a second maybe, or a quarter of a second, because otherwise the shot will just go straight through them, and that's what happened.
Okay, so now I'm in chapter 2. The first thing to do here is grind a little bit on these sand beasts, which are probably hard to see on the stream.
Yeah, they're hard to see even when I'm like right up against the screen on an emulator.
So let's see, ideally, we'll fight 6 screens of these and get up to 740 experience. I've already missed 2 of them, so I may fight an extra screen of them. But we're going to need to hit 780 experience by the end of the chapter. And this chapter is very short in this run because we're actually going to be skipping most of it.
Yeah, it's the one sequence break in the game that we know of is that you can basically skip 2/3 of this chapter. They do a pretty good job of locking you into having everything that you need for everything else, but
we'll be seeing why we're able to skip most of this chapter shortly.
Yeah, so I'm leaving the grind. I'm 10 experience short, but I'm leaving anyway.
So the Maze Desert, similar to the Lost Woods in Zelda, you have to walk a specific route or else the screen just repeats. And in a casual playthrough, you'd have to go through other towns, you'd have to go to the past, you'd have to recruit multiple allies, and eventually one of them would show the way through this desert. But by knowing the way through already, we can just skip most of the chapter and basically walk straight to the palace.
One of those companions, by the way, is reBarbaloot's avatar. True. So I just love the idea that you've got this avatar that's a character that you don't even get in the game that you speedrun. Like you could have chosen Rainy. So I'm going to be picking up, there's a woman in a hole in the ground. Oh, I just got stuck in a fight again.
Ugh. Okay, so I've just entered the palace of chapter 2. The demon fight will come at the end of this palace. Let's see.
And again.
There's still going to be one more ally we need to pick up in the palace. And also, I'm going to need to be sure to hit 780 experience. We have to hit level 7 because that's the level we learned the spell Flammable. And that's the only way we can hurt the first form of the second boss. The boss at the end of this chapter. I just missed a money bag drop. Walked off the screen too fast.
I've been stuck in a fight for 4 turns.
Oh, really? Wow.
Down 1 bread. 5 turns. This is also Scheherazade career first for me. Never been stuck in a fight for that long.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard of that happening. You're trying to escape every time. That's some seriously bad luck.
I was. Anyway, so this lady gives me 50 rupees. I'm going to get another 50 at the beginning of chapter 3. reBarbaloot skips this one, but you still get the one in chapter 3, is that right?
No, I get the ones in chapter 2, but not 3, typically.
But not 3, okay.
By the way, we get to see how many cycles I'm stuck in this fight. We're on number 2.
God.
Evening things out a little bit in the race, I guess.
Yeah.
There goes a bread.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm down to 4 and 6, and 16 HP.
Okay, I was just stuck in that for 2 cycles.
Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, it's still 2 cycles and 2 escape attempts too many.
Okay, so that was Epen, the last ally we get in this chapter. Now that we have Epen, we're able to fight the demon.
Yeah, he makes Curly show her true colors. Is that right?
Right.
Reveals Curly's true
Often
form.
blows whistle. You'll see it happen.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, it's like Farouk gives you something that lets you breathe underwater so that you can go get Kibaboo.
You just have to have him to be able to go in the North Cape. I don't think the game applies a certain item.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Because you get the Holy Robe, and the Holy Robe lets you go in the lava. So
right.
There was a similarity there. And then Kibaboo gives you the magic shield, which thankfully reflects the stone magic, but also will occasionally reflect bullets back from these bandit guys. Oh, I need to kill more of these than I thought. Okay. Picked up a money bag along the way, that's okay. Take it.
Yeah, so that was Curly's first form right there. It's basically just an MP drain. You have to do 8 quick casts of Flame of 1. If you're really slow, she can use the star magic and cause you to take some damage, but just
I didn't even know that.
And she won't have time to get an attack in that form. So now we have the second form, where she's got these 6 arms. We'll start by casting Flame of 1 5 times, and on the 5th cast, some of the arms should die.
Alright, I'm in phase 1.
Just 1 arm died on my 5th cast, so I'll cast again. Okay, it's not good Curly Lock apparently. We'll just use the rod the rest of the way. Oh, okay, 1 more cast. I don't want to lose another Mashroom. I've left myself with enough MP to where I can end the fight with 1 last Flamewell cast when she's down to 0 health. Trying to fight these arms with the rod is kind of frustrating.
Normally, in the course of doing all of the actual stuff you're supposed to do in Chapter 2, you would have picked up a second rod.
Right, a stronger rod than this.
Yeah. That gives 2 shots, right?
I don't think it gives 2 shots, but it is faster. So it's much higher to hit, or much easier to hit the higher up arms. I'm at 2 HP, hoping not to take any more damage. Dodge those spikes.
And it's like you have to hit the joint, like you gotta hit her elbow.
And her movement's erratic, and with a slow-moving rod like this,
a miss is terrible.
Okay. I finally finished the fight. I did lose another bread. That's not ideal, but the run goes on.
The TAS of this fight is comical. He manipulated the RNG so that every time she counters your casts with a heal, she was healing the same arm, so that 5 of them died, and then he was able to just go over and kill the other one quickly. Alright, so now I'm out.
So after beating Curly, we now hit level 10, even though we were just level 7, because you go automatically up to the next multiple of 5 at the end of each chapter. And the amount of experience you can gain within a chapter is capped at that level. So if I kept grinding in Chapter 2, I still would not have been able to get over level 10.
Right.
Now that we're in Chapter 3, level 15 is going to be the cap. So in the run, I'm going to hit level 11.
This key that we have, was that from leveling to 5?
Right. Yeah, it's some levels the game gives you a key if you don't have any, and level 5 is one of those levels. In this run, or in this route, it's not going to matter because before we need to use any keys... Oh wait, no, it will matter.
It will matter.
Yeah, when we cast the spell Moancome, it'll fully stock us on keys and everything else.
There's one really bad thing that can happen, which is if you accidentally leave, or if you have to re-enter an area later on when we cast Moscom, and you don't have the key, that can be problematic. I guess that just means that you cast Moncon then. But it's better to wait until a couple screens later.
Okay, so in this chapter, chapter 3, we're ultimately going to need to spend 340 coins in this route. I'm at 345 now because I picked up an extra 50 rupees that I would have skipped if I'd gotten more money bag drops.
Yeah,
also,
I still need to pick up 5 coins.
As far as leveling in this chapter, we just want to be sure to hit level 11, and that occurs at just 2,000 experience, so we shouldn't have any trouble hitting. But at that level, the rod increases in strength, and that'll make the demon fight at the end much quicker.
Which, the demon fight at the end of this chapter... Okay, so the ones at the ends of the even-numbered chapters tend to be run killers. Curly and Salamander are the worst single things in this game by a lot.
I'd say getting stuck in encounters counts as that.
Well, yeah, okay. Worst entity in this game is Salamander. He can be anywhere from two cycles to 5 cycles, and each additional one costs you at least like 40 seconds. It's kind of terrible, but Troll at the end of this chapter is kind of a gimme anyway, but we just want to make him faster.
Okay, so here I'm changing my class to Saint.
Yep.
I don't want to be a Saint for long. The Saint has both a weak rod and a weak sword. But for a plot reason, coming up shortly, we need to be a Saint just temporarily. Also, before doing that, I used Operin and went into the university and got an armor upgrade, the R armor. So you'll notice now that my armor is purple. I'm going to take half damage for the rest of the game, this means. Well, until a later armor upgrade.
Yeah, we just got this game's equivalent of the blue ring.
Yeah, you could say that. Okay, so now I'm off to the time door of this chapter.
Thankfully, we are.
Time door also, but we skipped it since we skipped most of the chapter. In this chapter, the time door is going to go to the future, 30 years in the future, where this lush green forest we're walking through now is going to be winter here.
An unending winter. Unless you cast the magic Sprycom, which we're not going to do.
And if we'd been talking to townspeople, some of them would have been bemoaning the fact that winter is coming. The demon has shut them away in the forest. So now we're going 30 years in the future. The main reason we need to do this is both to get a rod upgrade and an ally. The rod upgrade's coming up right now, or very shortly for me.
I'm going through the time door right now.
So this is why we needed to be a Saint. Can answer no there. The password is Chocola. The tree in the present would have told us this, but we skipped it because we don't actually need to find that out if we already know it. And so now the B button was set to Flame. Now it's set to Cimarron, which is the upgraded rod. A further upgrade past the Flame. But it's not going to look any stronger until we change class back to Magician, which we'll be doing at the first opportunity. Also,
in fact, is not actually stronger because basically the Saint and the Fighter use the original rod, and like the Magician uses the original sword. So it not only looks the same as the one that we had before, but it does the same damage as well.
Okay, so I'm entering the mosque here to change my class back to Magician, and as soon as that's done, we'll be able to see the upgraded rod.
In all of its glory.
Yeah. So now we get 2 shots per screen, and it's much faster. There are still upgrades to come, but this is a huge step up from what we had.
Yeah, there's 2 more rod upgrades, a sword upgrade, and an armor that we have to get.
In a casual playthrough, there are several more sword upgrades also, but we're going to be skipping all except the very last one.
Yeah, it is required. You don't ever actually even use it, but you need to have it in order to get the armor.
When we got the Cimarron Rod upgrade, that also was an HP refill. And so now that we've gotten that HP refill, we're going to need to be, or try not to take as much damage. In the demon fight at the end of this chapter, we're going to be taking 110 HP damage. And so we'll need to keep that in mind and possibly even purposely die to refill health.
My route includes still planning to die there.
Okay, I'll pick up that HP drink.
Just assume that I'm going to die. Or that I'm going to need to heal so much that it's worth just dying.
These tree enemies do a lot of damage, and there are a lot of them on this walk south to the town of Nubia. I guess I'll just
They're
stop.
primarily why we still get the R armor. At least for me, I think this walk.
Salamander fight also.
And salamander fight, yeah.
Well, I guess if you've just cast Moncum, that's not as big of a deal. Since you have 10 breads.
Yeah. And you don't need them for Gora Gora. I mean, for Sabaron.
Okay, so I've now entered the town of Nubia. This is the town where we started off in the present, but now we're here in the future.
Dude, I mean, you know, I'm still behind, but doing better than I expected considering a 5-round fight.
Okay, so now that I just got the ally Pukin, which we do need to beat the chapter, I just carpeted back to the other town, Casimil, because that's closer to the time node. We've done everything we need to do in the future, so we're going to return back to the present now and make further progress there.
I hate carpeting because it doesn't look like the cursor moves. When I hit A, it still looks like it is taking me to Rudoria or whatever.
I'm going to heal myself a little bit, even though it takes time, just because otherwise it'll beep and be annoying. I do have the 1 bread, so I wouldn't have died if I hit 0 HP. But in the winter, in the cold here, just like in the desert in the previous chapter, we gradually take damage just from the environment. Just 1 HP at a time, slowly.
It seems to be like every minute or so?
Well, a little more than that.
Yeah.
So now I'm returning to the present, where it's still greenery for now. Winter hasn't happened yet. And here I'm going to walk west to the maze.
For some reason that I don't understand, this is showing me that was somehow a 3.5-minute gold. The door to the present split.
I don't know.
That's not right.
Okay, so in the maze, you'll notice everything's dark. If we had not picked up the Cimarron Rod upgrade, everything would be completely dark, and we wouldn't even be able to see the area around us. It still would be possible to walk through the maze if you know the way, but then without the ally that you need that rod upgrade for, you would not be able to fight the demon.
Yeah. And on this little, this part here where we're gonna walk up the left side, it's fine if you walk up the left side. If you walk up any other side, you run a risk of falling into a hole.
Right.
But there's just nothing there on the left side, so you just walk straight up.
If you fall in a hole, it basically just, you have to start the maze over. It puts you...
Oh, man.
Did something happen?
I'm not used to not having enough money.
Ooh.
These trees aren't good to fight. I need to go back.
So Mustafa, the ally I'm recruiting now, requires that you pay him 100 rupees for him to join you. And so, unfortunately, we have to pay that because we can't beat the chapter without it.
All right, that wasn't too bad. One screen of Kibras.
So, after recruiting Mustafa and leaving the town of Pastora, where we just were, that's all the money we need for Chapter 3, but we're still going to need 180 coins total in Chapter 4 in this route. So, we'll still be looking for money bag drops and picking them up when we see them.
Yeah, I'm used to having like around 360 at this point. Or 360 like during the course of this chapter. So having 20 extra.
So in the palaces in the last 3 chapters, we occasionally have these wizard fights. Some of them we can just basically cheese right through them because they're vulnerable to a shrinking spell. In this case, Korbach. Wizards also have a good chance of dropping a money bag. I was glad to see that the wizard dropped his money bag there. These dragon enemies that I'm fighting, we have to beat them in order to go through the door.
Oh god, and I got a Grim Reaper.
Oh yeah, those show up if the eyeball bat demon enemies stay on the screen for too long. Possible chance at a money bag drop though, it's not all bad. They're just time consuming to kill and they follow you for the rest of the chapter if you don't kill them.
Or until you die.
Or until you die. Speaking of which,
I got a money bag drop.
That refill I normally take in this chapter, just for safety, since I did take that careless death really early in chapter 1. Speaking of careless, I just let the wizard transform me, and that lost some time. Okay, let's just ring out of here and admit that I totally botched that wizard. Wow. So
Yeah, I'm killing Grim Reaper.
Then you get transformed, and then if one of his little minions hits you, kills you immediately.
Dude, that's the one that transformed me in the practice run earlier.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh.
So let's try and do the wizard fight correctly this time. And I immediately get transformed again. I thought I jumped over that first projectile, but apparently I didn't.
Alright, so I'm able to make up a little bit of time here, hopefully, if I can get through these dragons without dying. Ooh, another money bag.
Okay, I'm just... Okay, well, at least I killed the wizard this time, so I'll untransform. But yeah, normally I jump over that first projectile. I just was not doing a good job of it, really. But if you get hit by 2 of those projectiles, you get transformed. Saw the HP drink, tried to go back for it, and got an encounter, unfortunately escaped from it. The demon fight's coming up right here, and normally I would just fall in the water right here to automatically take a death and refill my HP. But again, since I took that early death in chapter 1, I'm going to play it safe and just take the time to actually heal up.
4th money bag already.
Alright, so now that I have over 110 HP, I'm going to walk in here. This is the Winter Demon Troll. Presumably it's his fault that winter came in the future.
Oh no.
Sounds like you took the death refill.
I drowned.
So this fight is somewhat RNG dependent, but it's not as bad as it looks. Troll randomly appears in one of these 5 spots and moves around. And rather than try to chase him down, it's more effective to just get exactly halfway between 2 of the images and just spam the rod.
Yeah, what we used to do is you'd level up to level 14 in this. There'd be a grind against some of those trees, and that would get you access to Boltor 2.
Flamel 2.
Flamel 2.
Which was pretty effective for this part of the fight. It's not worth all the time it takes to grind up to it.
Right. But if you were able to do that in some easier fashion, it would make this fight a lot faster.
Right, yeah, I think it's 8 casts of Flamel 2 gets through this first stage.
Yeah.
I think without even any of the thunder counters also.
Right.
Countering each hit with thunder, which does 10 damage to us. It takes 12 hits to get him past this form, and the first 11 of those hits he counters with thunder. And so that's where the 110 damage comes from. I entered with 113 HP, so I'll have 3 by the end of this form. And now in this form, he can run into us, but it doesn't actually do any damage. We just have to kill him quickly enough before he transforms us and throws projectiles at us.
And you need to be far enough away from him that the rod shot doesn't go through him.
Right, and also we're going to shoot the rod slowly enough to where his iframes have already ended by the time the next rod hits. It's tempting to just spam the rod as fast as possible there, but then some shots go through him and don't hurt him. Okay, so that was chapter 3, and now I'm automatically hitting level 15 because I've hit the end of the chapter.
And when I learn this last spell here, Ramapos, there we go. In chapter 4.
Yep, so Ramapos is a pretty useful spell in speedruns because it reduces the frequency of both overworld and turn-based enemies. In particular, we'd like to reduce the turn-based enemies, reduce their frequency.
Yeah.
Because they're never effective to fight in a speedrun just because the fights take too long and the rewards are not worth the time it takes.
Yeah, the best thing that they can drop is like a bread. It's like, who cares?
Okay, chapter 4 is perhaps the most daunting chapter in this game, both in a speedrun and a casual playthrough. And the final boss at the end of this chapter, Salamander the Demon, is pretty much the biggest variable in a speedrun at all, as far as, I guess, the amount of time he could take to kill.
Well, and in the current world record route, which is vastly different from this one, but is not really marathon safe, I mean, we were talking about this before, like, he'll end your run, like, way more than anything else. Like, you'll possibly not be able to beat him.
Right. So we'll go through the marathon safe route, where we're going to level to 19 in this chapter before fighting him. That'll also allow time for a solar eclipse to appear, and we'll be able to cast a couple great magics, which we would not have been able to if we tried to fight Salamander earlier at level 17. Which is
right. So
does.
One of those is Moncom, which will refill, all of our keys and amulets and carpets and money and breads and mushrooms and everything. And the other one is Moscom, which summons a Mosque and will let us change our class in the middle of the dungeon. Because when we get there, we're going to be a fighter. But you definitely don't want to be a fighter and try to fight Salamander.
Yeah, it may literally be impossible. Well, a task could probably do it. But
yeah. That would have been interesting to see. In the task. Force you to fight.
Okay, so we're now at the grind spot of this chapter, in this route. We're going to be grinding up to level 19 here, which will take a couple minutes.
Well, actually not all the way to 19. We're grinding up to 8,600 experience.
Right, so we need to be level 19, and we'll be getting very close to that here, because we will still be getting a little bit of experience in the rest of the chapter. But
also going to pick up money bags.
Right. So as we grind here, we're also going to pick up the money bags that we see. We're going to need 180 coins total, 120 to upgrade to the crystal, which is the next rod upgrade. As soon as I see a money bag dropped on the right-hand screen, I'll go for the crystal upgrade right then, because that's north of here. But we'll need 120 for the crystal upgrade, and then 60 to pay for a class change, coming up very soon after this.
We don't need the other 100, because we're not going to actually be paying for the class change. We're just going to summon the Mosque ourselves.
Right. Changing class to fighter, we'll need to change back to magician for the demon fight.
Yeah.
And since we have the Moscom Great Magic for that, we don't need to actually pay for that one.
I tend to stick with the Cimarron through this grind, at least until I have all of the money that I need. It seems to me that the explosion from the Cimarron doesn't block the item drops quite as much. It's easier to see through it. Still missed one.
Yeah, but that's definitely good, having the Cimarron as opposed to the upgrade right now. What the upgraded rod, the crystal, is identical to the Cimarron, except that it's red, and you get 3 shots per screen instead of 2.
Right.
It actually does the same amount of damage per. My money bags keep getting dropped on the left-hand side. I'm waiting for one to get dropped on the right-hand side so I can pick it up on the way to upgrading. But whatever. The next money bag gets dropped on the left side, I'll just go get the upgrade anyway. Just trying to save a few seconds by getting it on the way.
Yeah, like I said, I normally wait until the end, but I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it now. Because I got a money bag drop on the right side.
Okay, there we go. Money bag and an HP link. And so now I'm going to go north to the town of Pau. It's a very small town, just 2 screens. But we're going to the university here, where we'll get the rod upgrade, the crystal.
And this guy will tell us about Moscom.
Right. So 100 rupiah tuition, and then the course costs 20 rupees. You can read about Moscom, and we'll get the crystal upgrade.
Yeah, you're like 150 or so experience ahead of me too. And almost done with the money. So you're gonna get out of this grind a little bit faster than me.
Right, so I'm actually completely done with the money now because I've got the 60 coins I need. So what that means is the rest of this grind is going to be a little bit faster for me. I don't have to wait around and see what gets dropped. I can just kill things and get off the screen as fast as possible.
I swear, I think it saves like a second each transition. You don't have to wait.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
It's a lot.
Alright, so I'll stick around here until I'm at roughly 80. No. I've let a money bag get away there, but that's actually okay, because we need more of those. Level 19 occurs at 8,800 experience, and we want that level because the rod gets stronger, and that'll make the salamander fight easier at the end of the chapter. And so, right around 8,600 experience, I'll be leaving this area and getting the rest of the experience throughout the chapter, mainly in the palace.
I'm just gonna manually pick up coins at this point.
So it sounds like synthpopisback is just under 60 coins and is picking up individual ones.
Yeah, I've got 57.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Alright, so now I'm done with money. I can just kill stuff. Still not that far behind you.
I'm still kind of reflexively seeing those money bags and walking off the screen going, oh no, but...
Yeah. Yeah, we literally don't need money at all for the rest of the game. So you have to kind of turn off an instinct in the middle of the run. The instinct to like jump for money bags. 8,200.
Okay, so I've got enough experience now. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So I'll cast Ramapas because the screen right after this is an encounter screen, and I'd like to reduce the chance of getting that encounter. It also means I'll take less damage to trees on the walk out, and there's another encounter screen coming up shortly, which that Ramapas cast will last through.
Alright, I'm out.
So not seeing a whole lot of enemies on this walk since that Ramapas cast is active. You do still see some.
Did you get some antlions?
Yeah, I saw some antlions. Okay, so those last 60 coins were to change class to fighter, and in this route, the most effective place to do that is right here. The town of Chigris.
You do it in Farville in the other one? A
Right,
town that we don't even go to?
The second class. But you have to walk further into the town to get to that mosque. So it's in this route, it's quicker just to use the mosque in Chigris.
Yeah.
So change class to fighter. So unfortunately, that nice new crystal is going to be weak for most of the rest of the chapter.
Yeah, for another, like 7 minutes or so. I've had terrible menuing in these mosques. I hope that doesn't carry over to Moscom.
Just don't mash on it.
Don't mash through
I'll
Moscom.
elaborate on that once we get there.
Alright, Ramapas is up. Oh, I cast a screen too early. I might end up getting an encounter on the way out. The way out from picking up, is it Gubibi?
Oh, I was just saying a screen too early shouldn't really matter with Ramapas. But you're saying it's going to end too early.
Yeah, I think it's going to end too early. It's going to end before I get out of the place where you get Goobibi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wait until right before I enter the palace to cast it.
Oh.
Okay.
I like to avoid the...
By the way, so yeah, this right here that I just entered and I'm about to leave is the palace. But the thing is, this is the palace in the present. And right now, Salamander is just this... If I actually walked up to him and tried to fight him, he's just this wall of fire that's not damageable. Basically, in order to beat this demon, he's so powerful now that we have no hope. We have to go back in the past 3,000 years and fight him when he was newly born.
You gotta fight him when he is a babby.
So the only reason we entered the palace in the present was to recruit that ally Gabibi. This here now is the time door, and we're going to go 3,000 years in the
What does Goobibi even tell you? Or give you?
the Holy Robe.
Oh, that's the Holy Robe. That's what lets you go into the lava. Okay.
Right. And to clarify there, to go in a specific place of lava, not just generally falling in lava, which will still kill you.
Yeah, just like getting Farouk before lets you breathe underwater, but you'll still die if you fall into water.
Right. Let you go in the water in that one specific spot.
Now, so there was that eyeball bat demon thing that was flying around. The ones that naturally spawn, you have enough time to like walk all the way across the screen plus a little bit, like a couple of extra grid tiles. But some of the regular bats also will turn into those things when you hit them the first time. And if that happens, I think it's like it is effectively that the counter was always going. And so it seems like they transform quicker. I don't know if they actually do.
I think they transform quicker even than they would if they started on the screen that way.
Really? Okay.
If you hurt another enemy and it turns them into the eyeball bat, you have a very short time.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters how long it took to hurt the original enemy, though.
Okay.
Okay, so I just jumped in the lava. This would have killed me if I had not gotten the Holy Robe, which is what you get when recruiting that ally Gabibi. The reason we need to both come in the lava and also be a fighter is to recruit this upcoming ally Rain. And by the way, it's very important that we answer his questions correctly. We'll see them coming up.
It's a death if you don't?
Yeah, it's an automatic game over if you don't.
Yeah, it's a game over if you don't. Yeah. Okay.
So we have to answer no to both of them, but mashing B accomplishes the same.
Yeah. Rainy is a coward. He's terrified.
We're stuck.
And so he needs a brave fighter to say that he's not afraid of Salamander and that he's never afraid of other monsters.
Right.
And then he joins you. He's a rain shrimp. His name is Rainy. He's the rain shrimp, and he beats his rain drum to make it rain on Salamander.
Who is a big fire.
Yeah, I just like to point out that that's an absurd amount of rain stuff to do with that one character.
Here comes the jump.
Oh god, good luck.
Whoop.
I mean, I'm sure you're gonna get it. I'm gonna try for it. I've only ever gotten it once, I think, in an actual run. Nice. Nice job. I did not.
Oh. Yeah,
I'm kind of inclined.
Practice down.
I'm kind of inclined to try it again, but no. I'm gonna go the long way. It saves like 4 screens worth of walking, and if you come here and fail, it's just like so much worse. But
well, here's another wizard that's susceptible to a shrinking spell, and so we can just cheese right through him. There's still 2 more wizards we'll have to fight in this palace. Both of them are Barzels, which are fire wizards, and we'll have to actually fight. Well, okay, I guess we can use Bolt, but we can't just shrink them. Oh, I need to be sure to hit 8,800 experience too. But yeah, there are enough forced fights that I'm guaranteed.
how tight is that jump? You only have like it's like 2 or 3 pixels in the vertical direction, but it's much more loose.
I don't think it's that tight.
No? It's
And
not,
okay,
it's
get
not a
this
lot.
annoying dragon to fight with the weak rod. That's a drawback to being a fighter in this route.
Oh, oh yeah, you're a magician at this point already, aren't you?
I would have changed class already in the other route. But we had to fight that dragon to get up here and get the spell Moscum, which we'll be using as soon as we see the solar eclipse, which should be coming up any minute. The way this route works, if you execute it well, the solar eclipse you not need to cast around us.
I almost went back for Warhammer's money bag.
Let's get out of this fight alive. Okay. By the way, after the next Barzil fight, I need to be absolutely certain to leave myself with at least 20 MP. So I have MP for 4 Boltor casts. We'll need to use the rod for the rest of the way. Let's actually shoot the rod in the correct direction. That would help.
That helps.
Okay, so this is the second Barzil fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 23 MP left, and no mash room. And this is also where I hit level 19, conveniently. At least it worked out that way this room. So now this room right here is where Salamander is, but we need to wait for the solar eclipse before we actually try to fight him. And there it is. Perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say my solar eclipse came up at the same time, but no wonder we ended chapter 4 at the exact same time.
So
We're into chapter 3.
Next we cast Moscum, and I'm not going to mash through. We're going to wait patiently and then select the correct class, Magician. I've lost several ones and choosing.
Don't mash through Moscom.
And now we have the big fight. Salamander. Here he is. He's not as bad at level 19 as he is at level 17 in the other route, but still, well, after every cycle he heals himself some, and so if you don't do damage at a high enough rate, this fight can drag on a while. And his movement is really erratic, so you can't really reliably hit. You just have to line yourself up well and hope that things work out. And don't do things like be walking sideways when he passes above you, because that misses a chance to hit him. I had a really good first cycle. Took down over half his health. But some of it will regenerate when he rises back out of the fire field. Oh, we noticed that the ally Rainy we recruited is using the rain to summon Salamander back out. This is what he looked like 3,000 years ago as a baby, Salamander. So, yeah, you can imagine we would have had no chance if we tried to fight him in the present.
Alright, here we go.
Not because he's hard, as in the game literally doesn't even let you try. Not a great second cycle for me. But overall, the fight's still going okay.
I think I got 5 hits on that first half of that first cycle. It went pretty well.
And Salamander's down. 3 cycles.
Nice. 3 cycles.
So yeah, 3 cycles is a good Salamander fight. It's better than average in this route. I'll certainly take it, though 2 cycles occasionally happens with ridiculous luck. And technically 1 cycle is even possible, as long as you're at least level 17, but not humanly realistic.
Yeah, you have enough damage output that you can technically do it in the amount of time that you have. If every shot hits and at the earliest possible moment.
By the way, one very convenient thing about this route, where we wait for the solar eclipse and level to 19, is that with that Moancum cast right before Salamander, we have Tin Breads, meaning we don't really have to pay that much attention to our HP in the Salamander fight. It's just a matter of being aggressive and taking him down as fast as possible.
Come on.
Well, I lost 4 breads in that fight.
There we go.
6 left, but that's plenty for chapter 5.
I got him in cycle 3 too.
Oh, nice. Okay, so in Chapter 5, I've just recruited the first ally, Hassan. And since we have all these spare carpets from that modem cast, I'm going to use one just as a little shortcut to the front of the town. It saves not even 1 second. Basically, the time it saves is the fact that I can also select my rod, the crystal, while I'm in the menu.
Yeah, so if you screw that up like I probably will, then you're actually losing time.
By the way, so the setting of this chapter is the same as the setting of the previous chapter, but now that Salamander was destroyed 3,000 years ago, there's no more lava or anything like that. Everything is nice and lush and green, but we still have the evil wizard himself, Sabaran. We have to.
Note also that we're saving the Princess Scheherazade and her sisters and her father, and we've gotten 3 of the sisters, and last chapter we got the father, so we still need
Princess Scheherazade remains captured.
Still need Scheherazade.
Okay, this is the town of Chigris once again. This time we're just going to walk into it and straight back out of it. The point being, we want to be able to return here later by using a carpet, so we need to get it on our list. Gonna do a Ramapos cast here before a gauntlet of enemies, including 2 possible encounters. Got the first one anyway.
Where do you do that Ramapos cast?
On the screen with Chigris.
Oh, okay. That's where I do it too.
And okay, they didn't let me escape. I put Dragon in. We're just gonna wipe out these Wizards. It'll take 2 hits of Firebolt.
Oh my god, you're actually doing the fight. That's crazy. Yeah. What formation did you choose?
Dragon.
Dragon. Oh, okay.
And actually, this is taking a while because 2 of the 3 Wizards summoned the rain, and we had to wait through that.
Oh yeah. I guess actually you have to have all of them at this point, right? Because you just got Hassan.
I mean, yeah, unless you forgot to get Hassan.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hey, a free carpet I have absolutely no use for.
They can drop a carpet. That's amazing. All right, so that caught me up to you.
Yeah. In a normal speed run, I would just try to escape from it, but in this race, I mean, there's always the risk of getting stuck in the fight for a really long time.
For apparently 5 turns.
I figured I'd just take them out. Yeah.
I'm like a screen behind, I think. Where I was like the entire walk to Chigris behind before. So we're gonna have to do this twice. We come in here once to get to a maze so that we can get to the time door and go back and get the Sword of Legend. But in that maze is also the Light Palace where we need to end up. And before, if we had gone north instead of right in this place, that's where we fought the Warhammer before.
Wait, no, that's the Yuthla Palace in Chapter 4. If you're talking about the palace we were just in, going north was where we would have gotten into present Salamander, not been able to.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That's right. This route through the maze is slightly slower, but it avoids an encounter screen entirely.
The route he's taking. I took the faster one and risked.
Oh, you took the faster route. Okay.
I put Ramapos up beforehand, but yeah, I figured I'd go for it.
Yeah. They do converge at one point. Like they have converged now. So if I go up here, this is a university.
Which is completely useless in this chapter. It doesn't give you items at all.
He tells you about libcom, right? Or no, yeah, he tells you about libcom. And then here is the Light Palace. And then over a little ways
is the time door.
Right.
So now we emerge in the Light Palace in the past, and if we'd stopped in the town of Pau in this chapter, we would have been told to go get the Legend Sword to prove that we're Ispa's true heir, and that way we'd get the light armor which we need to get in the present Light Palace, or Sabaran's palace.
Yeah.
So in this dungeon, our goal is to get the Legend Sword. and also these skull demons walking around. Okay, I'm walking through a jar right there.
We can get to it. I'll get to the. Okay.
At one point in the dungeon, there's a guy that tells you that there is only one jar you can walk through, and I just walked through that jar. So now, coming up on the legend sword, behind these locked doors here.
You give a Ramipas cast because between this screen that I'm on right now and the sword and back again is 6 encounter transitions. So you want to avoid as many of those as possible. Some of them can actually kill you, I think. There's a Medusa, right? Medusa has...
Yeah, in fact, I just got a magic squad fight but escaped from it. But that's probably the most dangerous fight in a speedrun. Not just because it can kill you, but it can turn you to stone. And then you're stuck there, unable to escape, while they slowly whittle down your HP, and you have to lose all your breads one by one. In which case, you might as well just reset the run.
So along with having maxed out breads from casting Moncom, I also am, when you get this, when you pick up any kind of equipment upgrade that you don't pay for, so you don't get it from the university, you get an HP upgrade, or an HP refill, rather.
Right.
So the Legend Sword gives us that, and then, you know, I was down to like 32 HP. I still have tons of bread, but I was down to like 32 HP. Got full HP. I'm gonna not care at all about my HP on the way to the armor, because you get another one at the armor. And then from there, I'm not gonna care about my HP at all on the way to get the rod upgrade, because you get one for the rod upgrade too. So it's very nice. Like once you cast Moncom, there's a lot that you don't have to care about anymore. Like
there are a whole lot of HP upgrade or refills in this chapter.
Yeah, 3 in this chapter. There are 3 that you pick up in the rest of the game.
By the way, Moncom gave us a bunch of spare items we don't really need, but sometimes we can have a little fun with them. I'm going to use an RC.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that.
In fact, you have to wait for the animation, but it lets me walk a slightly more direct route, because with the RC, we can pass through water. But then I accidentally pushed B again, trying to shoot. Shouldn't have done that. But yeah, so we can cut this corner here, for instance. Doesn't actually save enough time to be worth sitting through the animation, but I figured I'd just do it for fun. If we
there were times before, like earlier on in my career with this game, where I used that as a strat, just because you're invincible while it happens to.
If we went north, I would have been told to go south between the trees to the south of the town. After showing the guy the legend sword and proving that we're Ispa's true heir.
I've thankfully never walked off the wrong set of trees, but I imagine it could happen.
So this is now the light armor upgrade, and we'll also be seeing that message again that I just smashed through. It'll get displayed again at the appropriate moment. But yeah, so now that we have that light armor upgrade, for one thing, we're now taking a quarter of the damage we were taking at the start of the game, half the damage we were taking with our armor, the purple armor. On top of that, we're now able to enter the final dungeon, which we would not have been able to do without it.
I didn't realize that that's what let you into the final dungeon.
You have to have both the light armor and Hassan. If you're missing,
I just figured that Sabron wouldn't give you the rod without it.
Oh, by the way, I just hit level 21. That's really all the experience we need to gain in this route. And it's even not that critical, but the point is to have a stronger rod to make the final boss, as well as some earlier enemies, take fewer hits.
I think it's more for the earlier enemies, right? Because no matter what, like, you're basically gonna 2-cycle Gora Gora.
Pretty much, yeah. Unless you just do horribly. But for instance, these dragons now, they took 4 times, or 4 hits with the rod when I walked through here the first time. But now that I'm level 21, they're taking just 3 hits. So it saves a couple of seconds, the fact that I've already hit level 21 by this point.
I was pretending as if I had already reached level 21. Kept expecting those guys to die.
Okay, so we're walking back through the maze here. And once again, I walked the slightly shorter, more direct route, which risks an extra encounter. In the race setting, I figured I'd go for it.
You didn't get either of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
I had Ramapas up for both of them.
Nice.
Which doesn't guarantee I avoid them, but it makes it highly likely.
Yeah, it's like encounter half, kind of. Not really encounter none.
Right. It's probably a little more efficient than encounter half.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up on the final dungeon. I'm about to walk into it right now. This is Sabaran's Light Palace. Now, there are only 2 possible encounters we can get here, turn-based encounters, and I've already passed one of those. The last one is basically the very last screen in this dungeon before entering a new area. But in the meantime, I'm not going to have Ramapas up because I don't really care whether these overworld enemies show up or not. It's not worth taking the time to wait for the message to cast it.
And the menuing. I still want them to show up. I haven't hit 21 yet.
Alright, here comes a wizard.
I also walked into the university because I was hearing you talk about the Light Palace.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, it's my fault. It's just silly. I heard Light Palace and I was like, okay.
Perhaps the biggest plot, not perhaps. Now we have the biggest plot spoiler of the entire game coming up. Sabaran is in the inside room. If you want to play this game casually, you might ignore what's being said right here, as far as the text on the screen. I'm not going to talk about what's happening. Quietly enter the word I need to enter.
See, I was just going to go all spoilerific on it, but okay. I was going to be the bad guy.
You would have made it big. Anyone who was reading the text would get the reference. Okay,
I love it.
Other consequences, we now have the fully upgraded rod.
Oh, and this rod is so cool.
More on those other consequences shortly. Oh, also it was an HP refill as well.
Alright, Princess Chocolat.
You mean Princess Scheherazade, right?
I mean Chocolat.
Which was the Chapter 3 word.
Yeah,
so
that's the Chapter 3
that's not what you actually entered.
That is not what I actually put.
That would have been an automatic game over if you entered the wrong thing there.
I have done that before too.
Me too.
I've done it where you put this password in Chapter 3. I've never gotten the game over here. Okay, so there's level 21. It takes until level 21 for you to get the first heal spell that would actually be super useful to have early. If Pampu were as good as Marita, you probably wouldn't need breads, I would think, for this run. It's what, 5 MP, but it heals 50 HP.
Okay, so I've now just entered Path to the Dark World. Let's walk the correct direction. So similar to that maze desert earlier, we have to walk the correct direction or the screens just repeat. But here, you know you're going the correct direction because the screens stay red. And eventually, there's only one.
Cast Karaba too early. I want to get a wizard burger. There we go.
Okay, so that message which I mashed through said, well, same things it said earlier. We want to shoot it from the red moon, the white sun, and then when the star shines. And now we've destroyed the pillar that separates the human world and the dark world.
And there's the encounter, by the way.
That was the Princess Scheherazade standing. So we've actually already saved her. The final boss is Gora Gora right here, who the evil wizard Sabaran could not even handle himself. He's that fearsome.
I don't know. What do you think, High Spirits? Should we just explain what happened? If you're around, that is. I went the wrong way in the freaking maze. Oh my god, twice. What?
Okay, so
I was.
the first form is the dangerous one, where he can suck you in and immediately kill you. You have to cast Bolt for 3 5 times quickly, and that puts him in as vulnerable, where he's these two orbs spinning around each other. But he eventually reverts back to this form, and whoa, if you're too close to the center of the screen, you get sucked in. Or slightly slow on the mashing, like I was just doing. Oh, yeah, so that happens if you're too slow.
Did you get sucked in?
Alive, so I just have to redo this. And I believe this race just got a whole lot closer.
It did. You're in the pillar room and I'm in the fight.
So it may be less close now. I may just be prohibitively lost unless you also get sucked in.
I can't promise anything.
Maybe I'll have to go nuts and try for a Gora Gora 1 cycle.
Oh my god.
Literally
I would be perfectly fine losing to a Gora Gora 1 cycle. It would be an honor.
5, but realistically, that's not going to happen at level 21.
Come on, can I do this inside the estimate? Time is going to be on the last hit on Gora Gora, which is coming up shortly. 1, 2, 3, time.
GG Synthpop.
Thanks, man.
And that's time for me. If there's even a
GG,
separate
man.
Yeah, GG.
That was close.
Oh, yeah. Equally disastrous on both sides, pretty much.
Oh yeah, yeah. For all those wondering, you know, reBarbaloot is the current world record holder for this game, and his world record time is something along the lines of 10 minutes shorter than this.
What did our time end up being? Oh, I guess I can check the screen.
Mine was 1:15:04, I think.
Okay.
Yours is about 15 seconds later. Oh yeah. This ending music for this game is exceptional. I love it a lot. Really, most of the music in this game is amazing. Oh, the Garanthor totally just gave me an idea for an emote. That's awesome. Yeah, I seriously want Darkwing's emote. My god, I love that thing.
That's a great emote.
Yeah, I like Sathdresh's Grim Reaper too. That's great. Alright. Thank you, RPGC. You've saved Arabia. We're all in this palace together. Thank you so much. One little silly bit here at the end. I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. He says, on behalf of the Arabian people, by the way, RPGC, what will you do from now? And your response is, as long as the mysterious world calls me, I continue my journey. So you go through all of this stuff to go get the princesses and save the king and defeat Sabaron and Gora Gora and all these demons. And you leave her there and continue on your adventure.
Yep.
What a jerk. And then we get some comments from Gunmecha and Supika, who we don't even know. I don't know why they're talking to us. It's very rude of them. The transitions between chapters become longer and longer as you add new people and they all have to get their say in.
And Gunmecha and Supika, the two allies we skipped in Chapter 2, still get their lines in even if we didn't get them. So
yeah.
During those chapter transitions, they're still magically with us, even though we can't actually use them in battle.
Yeah.
We never actually got them.
So I'm not even sure what's up next. What's the...
Based on what I'm reading in Discord, I believe Background Guy's next.
What's that?
Background Guy's the runner, I think. I don't remember what.
Oh, okay. I see.
All right. Well, anyway, that was fun. Thanks for the rates, Synthpop.
Yeah, thanks.
Congrats on the win.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank you very much.
Thanks to the High Spirits for all the work putting this together.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe that you were able to do this in such a short period of time. It's fantastic.
Also, shout out to Darkwing Duck, who I see in the chat, who, before I ever eventually took the record on this, posted I guess one hell of a bar. I had a very impressive time years before I picked up this game.
A time that I have yet to beat.
Without that time, I probably would have gotten a 112 or so and said, yeah, that's probably about as good as humanly possible.
Yep.